let's talk about my preferences, what gets my juices flowing, what makes me tick. What I'm looking for and what I really like is more of a balanced sound signature with a slight bass boost. I like my bass, but I like my bass tight, I like it fast, I like it to hit hard and have some slam. I do not like that extra big bass shelf boost that's sub-bass driven, where the lower bass is scooped out. I think it's really important to have that information down there to make instrumental like piano, guitar, cello sound correct. But also I like the bass fast enough, speedy enough to make kick drums sound great. When it comes to the rest of the mids, I prefer an overall, maybe slightly warm tilt. I'm not a big fan of overly analytical, too dry a tuning. I'd rather have something a bit more musical. When we start to climb up into the ear gain region, make that pinna gain not so steep, but give some energy to some body into the mids. Again, making vocals sound correct, making instrumentals sound correct. I'm a big fan of timbre and tonality when it comes to instrumental as well. It has to sound correct to my ears. That 5K area also, I'm a bit sensitive to it. If there's too much information up there, I get fatigue, I get ringing in my ears, and it just doesn't let me play it longer and, more importantly, louder, because I do like my tunes louder. When it comes to the rest of the frequencies up top, I do like an extended treble, but not a peak above the pinna rise. Keep it extended, keep it detailed, but don't put too much energy up there for treble sensitive people like myself. It's got to have enough information to make great stage, to give instrument placement, to make strings sound good, female vocals that aren't too thick. That's what really gets me going, and that's what I'm looking for sound preference wise. Today, I am super excited to bring you an IEM that I have been waiting for and following for the last year and a half. It's been teased, but it's finally released. And this is the EPZ P50, 5-driver hybrid. 1 dynamic driver, 2 balanced armatures, 2 microplanars. Let me just talk about, well, it's $209, first of all. That's the one takeaway I'm going to give you. On the back shows you a graph which is accurate. I always love that about EPZ. They don't try to hide anything. The packaging in this little box comes with a sleeve, You pull it off, and there's this textured box. Kind of things that got me. There's a little attention to details. It says on the side, not being a transmitter of music, more of an artist in life, add unique rhythm to every moment of your life. You open it up, and it has the same theme going on. It has these little things to stop it from... The unboxing isn't... This is $210. This is... It doesn't look like that, that's for sure. Cleaning cloth, IMs come here. There is underneath a bunch of ear tips and a cable tie. The case itself is a leather style puck case. I mean, this is what comes with all my $2,700 IMs, not a $210 one. The cable itself is an SPC modular, 3.5 single-ended and 4.4 right angle. Very nice. The other thing I noticed about all the EPZ cables, I don't know who makes their cables or if they make it themselves, but they always do these ones with these really, really thick pins. So for durability-wise, I think it's quite good. My fat fingers really don't like this cable that much. And the only thing I'm going to say negative in this entire review is that I find the cable a little thin and a little stiff. And I wish that they wouldn't have put the recessed 2-pin connectors on it. It should have been flush, right? Mine, I ended up switching over to a DD Hi-Fi, the new solid copper shielded Nix net cable. It's kind of this silvery, goldy, it's a beautiful cable with flush 2 pins. Looks fabulous. More importantly, it sounded awesome on this cable. I really liked a solid copper cable versus the SPC. That's just some of my preferences to not enhance any of the top end. And we'll talk about that in sound right here. So actually, just looking at this IM, you'll see one thing that's a little bit different, and that is that really funky top. And that's because it's an open back design. And the rest of it, so that's a CNC machined top. The rest of it is a very nicely molded resin shell. Nice little wing on it. It's super comfy. It's kind of medium size. It's not on the larger side, which is nice. It's got a stainless steel nozzle, which is a little bit longer, which is great. There is no lip on it, but none of my ear tips seem to have fallen off and stayed in my ear, which is a good thing. So talking about this little guy, I'm going to jump right into music, honestly, because that is the absolute best way for me to convey how this thing sounds to me. And I was quite blown away. So my source that I was using on this was the new Ibasso DX340. That'll be coming up in a future review. What a player that is. Phenomenal. Let's talk Exile. It's a duet, and I love duets for this very reason. Ben Iver and Taylor Swift. Okay, I'm a Swiftie, sure. I admit it. Ben's vocals has a nice tonal weight without sounding thin, and Taylor's vocals sound correct with the right pitch. So this tells me the P50 can do male vocals just as nicely as female vocals. And that's not easy. That balance to do is not easy to do, and speaks volumes to how well balanced the P50 is in its tuning. Switching over to some bass and bass texture, right? Poem of Chinese Drum by Hawkman Yim. I would have liked to hear a longer decay when it came to the bass notes. The P50's playback with drums very nice tonality and good separation between the various drums and instruments with different note weight. And that's what I was listening for in the texture. Overall, very well done. I really like the bass on this set. It is a little bit more sub-focused. The cutoff, and I'll pull up a graph here, is really about 150, but there's a little bit of energy down below. And I think that adds a little bit into the male vocals, not enough to muck up female vocals, as I like to say, but just enough to get the right sound, the right pitch to male vocals so they don't sound thin. Like in that earlier track where, Ben didn't sound like Taylor and Taylor didn't sound like Ben. So now this is an interesting one. So open backs do something for me. And if they're done correctly, or if they're not just saying it. So Rackham, Dead Can Dance. Live recording, I use this one for stage effect, and just can give you an overall sense of the venue, right? So one thing IAMs don't do a great job of, only the better of the ones I found, is project a realistic sense of 3D space and give you a feeling that you are in the audience listening to a live recording. And the P50 does a wonderful job in this track. You can hear somebody yelling down below you to your left. You can hear a screamer up on the top side left. And when the audience roars with applause, in this track, you get a sense that you're in a very large auditorium, very large venue, and it's wonderful to hear. And you can kind of mentally project where you are situated relative to the stage. And I thought that was really stand out. I've only had a few IMs that I've ever listened to that could do a really, really good job, and the P50 was definitely one of them. And I'm going to say that again. I think the open back design on the P50 really had something to do with how it really plays back. And it gives you the feeling that in this recording you are right there. So, well done. Iron Man by Tina Gao. If you're not familiar again with her, I really love her. She's an electric rock cellist. In this track, great bass extension, zero bass bleed. There's no added warmth in the lower mids to add coloration. When it comes to electric cello and strings, you need to have enough weight and energy still down below to make those instruments sound correct, and they certainly do in this track. But one of my takeaways with the P50 was really how clean the overall mids really present. Very uncolored. Yet they still have enough weight and body in the mids to make them sound right. And I think that's just really well done tuning. So the cellos sound correct. The strings sound clean and articulate with great treble extension. Really nice treble extension. Harlem Shuffle, the Rolling Stones, the P50s, and vocals and instrumental is now allowed to play in their each space, their own space. You got vocal center stage, you got backups left and right, and then you have instrumentals that where the bass is playing here, the guitar is playing here, piano's there, and they're playing in their own space and they're not crowded together. And I think that was in very, very good clarity, outstanding clarity, actually. And that was my takeaway from that song. It was, of course, when you hear things like that and they move you emotionally, it's not hard not to put a giant smile on your face, right? I'm a huge Stones fan. I thought that recording all their recordings are fabulous, and that was particularly standout. So after many, many tracks, I got a very good sense of the P50. It's a very uncolored IM, very balanced, no bass bleed, and slightly boosted bass shelf. It was very well done. So for people who don't like warmer IMs, this one will be for you. But for people who like more accuracy and neutrality, this will give you a good sense of that as well, but a little bit of the bass boost up top. And where it gets really, really good for me is the mids and the upper mids and the treble. So I did think that the P50 has great texture and body in the mids. It's very clean. It's not forward sounding. It's not recessed. And its replay of vocals and instrumental is very well done. Now treble, though, with the microplanars, are just so well tuned with great resolution and sparkle. Lots of energy without sounding too much or too glary. I love well done EST drivers. They're very expensive, though, and like in my Alpha Omega Omega, $2,700, the RGB Halo were two great examples. These are multi-kilobuck IMs. But I can totally see why manufacturers are heading in this direction with microplanars and planar drivers, because they do a really good job up top. And one thing I've also come to realize is I do not like piezoelectric drivers. They're not for me. They don't sound natural. The SIMGOT EM10, the SM4, and the nice HCK NX8, they just don't sound natural, where the P50 implementation with the microplanars sound very well done and tonally correct. Lots of extension, treble details, and resolution up top without adding in any weird fuzziness that I get with piezoelectric. So, and I think with microplanars, it does it better than balanced armatures, and I think it does better job in the highs than dynamic drivers struggle to reach up there unless it's a multi-dynamic driver. But even then, I think the microplanars you're going to see a lot more, and I'm happy to see that. So with the P50, you top all of the fantastic tuning and the stage with an and that's the thing with this element of the big open stage and that open back design. It definitely adds in some special sauce. Macro dynamics are great on this set as well to give you a full sense of emotion and excitement with tracks, with all that resolution and details. Again, are standout on this IM. So the resolving sources, if you have something like that, can really play to the strengths of the P50. I don't think you're ever going to get to a point where it's too much information. It just presents in a really, really nice way. The resolution and details in the P50 are also standout on this IM. Details that certainly don't reflect its 5 driver count nor its price. It was refreshing, that's to say, for sure. Fantastic presentation, accessories, cable, case, and with all that together on top of a very well-tuned IM makes the P50 a winner. And a market disruptor, I think, and top of the heap in that price point, that's for sure. It will have some of the competition shaking their heads on how they did it and scrambling to stay competitive. So I congratulate EPZ on this release, and I know you took a long time getting it ready and you didn't rush it, and for that, well done. And congratulations for getting this one so right. So thank you for watching again. I hope you enjoyed it. The P50 is something you should maybe put on your radar if you like how I described its tuning. Really well done. I like this one kind of a lot. So out for now. Thank you so much. The Stone Deaf Monk. Until next one coming up very quick.